This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome everyone to the third day of Cloud Performance Engineering in DevOps. I hope everyone, I have added all of you to this particular drive. I have created a new drive here, Cloud P DevOps for the Jan 2022 batch, and I've added uh, most of you. I think all, mostly the people who have enrolled. You can find your name here if you're in the call. And if I missed anyone, so please drop me a note in the same WhatsApp group. Uh, I have got a list from the institute. I'll cross check and I will add you here. Okay. And I've also given you the link. You can directly, you all will be having the viewer access. You should not download this. I should not share this with anyone, but you will be having the lifetime access. You can come any time. It will be always there for you. Okay. And I'm going to continue from where I left off. Okay, just first thing first. Can I get a quick? I need to know who all have this cloud account created. Everyone, I'm expecting everyone to create this cloud AWS account. Can I get a quick confirmation from you guys that yes, you have this cloud console access AWS account created, and you were able to log in successfully as a root user. How many of you? Please, yes, no. Uh, created. I had, okay. I have the account. Perfect. I looks like everyone has it. I do have account. Yes. Okay, perfect, guys. Good to know. That is what I expected of you. That is where, and I will also log in as a root user. That is what is very important to start with. You need to always log in as a root user. And yesterday I have also set up this particular as a MFA, right? So it will be asking for multi-factor authentication as well. Let me just cross check if it's working or not. I'm gonna just do this. Okay, and I'm gonna check my mobile now. Okay, that's fine. Okay, no thanks. Alright, that's fine. Let me leave it. Okay, I'm going to check my mobile. I'm going to open the Google Authenticator app in my mobile. And I'm quickly going to check the MFA code which has come. Okay, so how many of how many of us have got this MFA created? Can I get a quick acknowledgement from everyone? So, four. Okay, looks like most of us have got it. Shivdat, you don't have it. Please get it. You know the process. I'm hoping you are aware of the process. It's very simple. Once you log in, what you do, you go here and go to the security credentials, and then you just go to the MFA. You need to download a lot many options. You can download one of the Google Authenticator application. One application is called Google Authenticator. You need to have that, and you can scan the code here, and you'll have this, right. That is what. And you can delete this if you need it, but you should not delete it. You should always have this root account, um, MFA secured. That's very important, right? And as I was talking about the options, you have a lot many options. Yesterday I showed you a lot many options you have, and you can use all those options. But I like Google Authenticator. I use that. Please do that. Yeah. Okay. And don't do it now. You will get distracted. You don't do it now. Please focus there. Yeah. Okay. Then the second thing, what we need to do, we have set up the billing. That is also we have done the second thing, because I don't want you to get billed. How many of you have set up the billing as we have discussed yesterday? Two things I have mentioned. I need a quick acknowledgement from you guys. Two things I mentioned yesterday. Go to the billing preferences and set this up here. Want to check these boxes, provide your email address, save preferences, And I also asked you to go to the budget section and create a cost budget, so that you get notified. I think I have deleted that my cost budget, so that's why you're not seeing up here. But once you have it, you'll see the cost budget, right? So please have that budget set up as well. Perfect. Third, the most important thing that I need you need to have it before doing any other activity, that you should understand this is the root user account. I don't want you to be the root user and working as the root user. You should always think like this, that you own a company. I want everyone to think like this, that you own a company and you have got this account for you, for your organization, right? And you have lots of employees in your organization working. And let's say you have an IT company. Obviously, if you have this console, you are working in the software industry, and let's say you're working in one of the company that you own, and you need to have all sort of developer groups. One group for the development. You need to hire a lot of employees, right? There are few folks who will belong to the development group. There are few folks who belong to the testing group. There are few folks who will be a DBA. One will be operations guy. Someone would be at the support. And there are lots of groups you need to have in an organization. And you will be creating a lot many users. So where you should add the users? That's very important point that we're gonna discuss today, and that we're going to discuss in the IAM section. Those are called IAM. Okay. So what we're going to discuss here in IAM, we're going to discuss that how we create users. That is what we're going to discuss here. That okay, so once you got the account created, you should have the IAM user. A lot many users you need to create, right? And then you need to give them the access so that they can log in and work for you, right? So how we do it? We go to the IAM. There is one service called IAM, Identity and Access Management. We call it IAM. You type here. You always make a habit of typing here. Don't go here and search for IAM. It's not a good practice. You should always remember this service name. We have talked about few services only, billing and things like that. So this is the one of the very first services that we're talking about, IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. You just keep it understand like that, that you create users here and you work with users here and you create groups, users. I'll talk about that, okay? So you need to always come to this IAM and click on this, and then you get this console. So every service is a module, a new module in your AWS Cloud Console. If you type EC2, you will get a different sort of console because the functionality that is totally different. If you select S3, you'll get a different console. If you select different service, you'll get a different console. This is the console for the IAM, right? First thing first, that you can also do this account alias. See, you get this account ID here. I have done this aliasing here. You can mask this account ID with any name that you want. Okay, I can delete this guy. Okay, I do not need to exactly have this alias with me, or you can also change this, whatever. So what I'm telling, that once you create the IAM user, your users are going to log into the console using this URL. And if I delete this guy here, let me delete this. How it looks like this. You will have currently your account and my account is same, and it looks this way, right? So what you can also alias your account ID, mask this. You don't want to show this to everyone, and you want to just mask it, which will also reflect in your URL. You can also do that, right? So I can also do that. I can create this. I can give some name, the name I like, whatever I can give it. It should be unique. Be mindful of that. I can just I just name that way. So I'll keep it like this. I save changes. So you can see this URL also got changed. So if I create this IAM users, so my users will use this URL to access to log into the cloud console. So how do we create users? So before that, you need to understand that every user, uh, and we have a concept of users, groups, and permissions. Let me just draw one Now, simple diagram. Okay. So what you have, you get groups. Okay. So you create different groups in your organization. Okay. Let's say I call this group as development group, right? And this group as, let's say I call this as a testing group. Simple. Okay. I'm just any this group for the operations guys. Let's say different groups. And what you do, you create users. Let me use this denotation to create users. Okay, I'm gonna use this Greek. So this is my user one. Let's say this is my user two. This is my user three. So user three. So this is the development group I was talking about. Developer group for the developer. Okay, we just call that way. And let's say this is the group for the testers. All the testers in my organizations that I have. It could be any automation tester, performance tester, any security testing, whatever, any all the testers, QA, let's say QA. Okay, all the QA professionals are here. And let's say this is for the support team or operations team. Okay, let's just name that way, operations team. So let's say I have three groups in my organization, and I'm going to recruit people now. I have recruited, let's say, 10 people. Three people I recruited for the development group. I kept it here. Let's say I'm going to recruit a few more people in QA. Let's say I recruited four guys here. I kept it here. Operations also I did same thing. Let's say I uh, hired two guys for the operations team. So I don't want everyone. Okay, my question. So do you want everyone to have same access in your in your company? All the developers, QA operations, the same permissions what you have as a root user. Because as a root user, you could do anything in your cloud account. So when you employ them, so do you want those users, developers, QA and operations and DBAs and all sorts of people to have the same access as you? Do you think that would be a good way? I can provide everyone the same access. I can share the same root user URL, root account URL that you created, and everyone can do everything. Do you think that's the right approach of thinking, being in the organization? Yes or no?
No, it's not right approach.
It's
Everyone should have unique access.
yeah, like separate access, not unique address. They should have the least privilege access. So what we follow is the
Mm.
least privilege principle. So that is what. So if developers do not need to do a lot more activities. Developers are supposed to just code and execute and, let's say, upload my code to GitHub. That is all. Build the code. That's all the activity developers are expected to do, not other admin related stuff, right? Let's say I have also one group for the admins. Okay, let's say I also have a group for the admins. Okay, let's say I have only one admin. In my company, I have only one admin. So this is the group for the admin, right? So I, we always follow a least privilege principle. Least privilege. We should be only giving the least possible permissions to these guys. So what we will do, we will not create users and give the permissions separately to all the users. So we give permissions to the group, and we add the users. That's how we work, right? And that's the simplest way, right? Why do we need explicitly mention explicitly this user will can do the same thing again? Why do I need to repeat it? So let's create a group called developer, put all the users in the same group, and then give the permissions, the right permissions to the developer. One type of access policy. So let's give permissions or policies, one type of permissions or policies to this group, right? Another types of permissions and policies to QA, right? That can be done, right? Similar, different kind of permissions to this group. and then all the users belong to that group will enjoy that same permissions, right? That's how we work in um, IAM user when we create IAM users and when we work with IAM users. That's how it's simplest. And when we create admin users, we will give the administrator access. Administrator access will have a lot, way more access than any other users, obviously, right? So this can admin, right? This guy is going to create users, delete users. This guy is going to have a lot more permission. So I'm going to do the same thing in the console now. I just explained you the theory part that what I'm going to do. The same thing I have explained in the slides that let's say I have three groups here, group developer, group, I have group operations, and there are separate users also without, this user is not in any group, that can also happen. I can provide a separate set of permissions to this group uniquely. There could be users who belong to the two groups at the same time. This user, Charles belong to the developer group as well as to the group audit team. It can also happen. Same thing with David. David belongs to the group audit team as well as to the operations team, along with Edward. So basically, what I'm telling that this guy belong to this both the groups. So this guy would be having both the permissions of this group, the group operations, and the permission for the group audit team. And this guy is separate. That could also be the case, right? So IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. It's a global service. To point to note, it's a global service. Very important to highlight. When I was in this console, when I was in the home page, I was getting to select the regions, whatever I wanted. Any region I could select here. I had the option of selecting the region here. But as and when I selected IAM, it will disappear. I don't get to choose the region from here. IAM is a global service. That's why we call it a global service because whatever users you're gonna create, the groups you're gonna create, the policy that you will give to the users, it's global. It's applicable to all the regions. So to get started, what should I do? Where should I get started? Let me create one user and let me delete this user. I take up classes in Edutech as well, so um, let me just delete that. I was demonstrating. I just gave their name. Let me delete this guy. Okay, I deleted this. Deleted. Yeah. Okay. Okay. See, to get started, so what I can do, I can create this user, one user. So you will be having like this, no user in your account. So I just made it the same way. I can start with users. I can start with creating users. Let me create this guy here, one user with some name, any name. It could be any name. Let's say user one. Very simple. Let me give my name. That's fine. Okay. I just started with this. This is the username, and I root user is doing this. Root user is going to create only one account. I am the root user. I'm the boss of my organization. I'm going to recruit a lot many people. I'm not going to create a lot many users. I'm just going to create only one user, and I'm going to give this user the administrator right, and then I'm going to ask this user to manage all my users. Right? That's how it should be. Right? So I'm going to create only one user. I'm the root user. I'm going to create only one user. Let's name this Roshan, and I'm going to give all the possible permissions to this guy. Auto generate password. That's fine. Users must create a new password at next login. That is absolutely fine. I want to do that, right? I'm going to next permissions. And now they're asking me to what can I permission? What permission shall I give this to guy, right? So let me do one thing. I'm going to delete all my users also. I have some groups already. I'm going to delete all the groups which I have it so that my account looks same to you, similar to you. Okay. I'm going to delete everything. Okay. Done. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create one user. I'm going to add this user. I'm going to name this user any name I can give. Let me name this Roshan, and I can give all the possible permissions, right? Custom password. I can also give one my password, whatever I want. I can give that, select that. I can give that password. That guy who's gonna use the same password. I the next login, it will be asking whenever it is generate an auto-generated password, and the next login, users will be asked to generate their own password. Next, permissions. So what I can do, I need to put this user in a group, right? So I've started creating the user, but now I need to put this user in a group, right? So I'm going to also create one group. Okay, so add users to group, or I can attach the existing policy directly, as I was showing you in this diagram. If I'm creating this user can belong to a group or can be individual also without any group. So if I need to create that, I need to come here and I need to attach an existing policy separately. So something like that. So I'm gonna create a group as well. I'm going to create a group and add that user to that group. And let me call this admination. For administrators, I'm going to create a group called admins. Okay. So I'm going to create a group called admins. Okay. I'm going to create a group called admins. And I'm going to give this group. See, always remember, I'm going to give the permission to the group, not to the user. I'm going to assign this administrator access to this group, admins group, and I'm going to create this group. And automatically, my user Roshan is going to be added to this group because I just now added, selected this. I'm going to click on next tags. Very simple. Okay, you can skip this part, no problem, optional. Next review looks good to me. I'm going to create this user. This is all it takes to create a user, and I can send this guy the this email address, or I can download this guy because this will have the password, right? This guy will have the password, the auto-generated password, the login credentials. What this guy has, I can show you that. This guy is having the user name, the password, and with every user you get these two things, very important things: access key and secret access key. This is important when you are working in a command line mode. Okay, so there are two ways you can work in cloud. Okay, uh, I just wanted to keep it simple for now, but let's say this is the cloud console. Okay, this is what you see as the cloud console. You can also operate all these things using command line. That is called AWS CLI. Okay, I'm going to introduce you about this. I'm not going to tell right now about this complicate. I'm not going to complicate things. I'm going to talk about AWS CLI when I talk about Kubernetes. Okay. So AWS CLI is a command line interface, and whatever I do using the management console, the graphical way, I can use commands to do the same thing. Okay, and then because when I use the command, I need to do something to authenticate that that's me. That time I need to configure my AWS CLI using these two things. So just know that these two things are used when you need to configure AWS CLI. I'm going to log in. This is the URL. So I'm going to log into this URL. I'm going to be incognito window. Okay, because I don't want that session to get come here. I want to show you how it looks. See, I have given this uh, one account ID mask this. If you do not mask it, your account ID will come here. This is the user, right? This is the user I created. You can check it. Okay, R is capital. Let me put it the same way because I don't want to play with that. R is capital. Okay, and this is the password it has generated. It is going to, because I did give the option that it's going to ask me to change the password and like this next sign up. See, it's asking for the old password, and I'm going to type a new password as well. Okay, confirm password change. Perfect. So I have logged in as the one of the IAM users, and this IAM user has got the AWS has got the administrator access. Switch to the new console home. So I think they are modifying this UI field. Let me just see how it looks, how they have done it. They keep on changing this. Okay, this is what it looks now. Okay, that's fine. They keep on changing this UI and how it looks. Recently visited services, nothing, because they're also showing up monthly cost and things like that. Uh, okay, they're showing down which is from last month. That's fine. They're giving you all sorts of things. So I have logged in as the IAM users. Okay, can I get a quick acknowledgement? How many of you understood what I have done till now? Any questions till this point of time?
Yes, Roshan, we have understood this.
Perfect, Vijay. How about others? All good? Please acknowledge that, yes, no, whatever. Feel free, okay? If you're not understanding anything, let me know. There's nothing, it's not a rocket science. It's all about you knowing this, okay? Nothing complex, nothing, anything complicated. It's all about you knowing things, how to operate, and that's what I come in and I'm gonna demonstrate you the simplest way I can. Okay. So Sai has given me fine. I'm just I'm this silence. I am considering that we are all good. Okay, and I'm proceeding. Good. Prasanna has also confirmed. Good, Prasanna. Thank you. So I'm gonna sign out now from that account because I don't need that account now because that's the I cannot have two account open, one for the root user. So I can just have it like that. And this is my I'm opening in for coordinator mode, so that's why I'm able to do that. So I am the administrator now, logged in as the administrator, and this is what you will do. You will never ever use your root account to log in to your AWS account. You're gonna always use your AWS account, log in as the IAM user, and give one of the user as the administrator, and then log in, and that's how you will work, and that's how we will take up things. Okay. This is the administrator. This can do a lot more stuff. This can create the other user also. So don't worry that you cannot create any more user. This is the administrator. Tomorrow, if a new guy is gonna join your company, you need to provide them their credentials, right? So that they can log in and things like that. You can also configure MFA for your IAM user as well. So it's not like MFA is only applicable to the root user. You can do the same thing. Whatever I did for the root user, you can also do the same thing for your IAM user. MFA, you can add MFA, you can provide whatever, you can use all the options here. It's mentioned here in the list. You can do create the MFA, right? That's what you can do. You can assign MFA. A lot more options you get here. If you do a learn more, you get to see, understand that what all options you have. You get a lot more options, right? Not just Google Authenticator is not the only one thing that you can use. You have a lot of options. I showed you yesterday. Where was that? Using MFA devices. Yeah. So you have a lot more options. Okay, I just lost it. Where is that? Virtual MFA device. Okay. Let me just see. So I just saw that. I just lost somewhere. Let me just check it. Okay, so you have a lot of more options. Okay, not just Google Authenticator, but a lot more options. So you can configure it. You can assign MFA, whatever you want. Okay, you can assign, yes, it will be here. You can assign a virtual MFA device. You can click on continue, and you can use list of compatible applications. You can come here and you can see that you have a lot more options here, not just a Google Authenticator, but a lot more options. You can use any one of these things. I'm not promoting Google Authenticator here. I just use it, so Yeah, but you have other options as well. You can try any other options as well. Okay, that's one. So I'm not going to demonstrate the same thing. How do you do for the IAM user? You know very much. How can you make sure your IAM user is secure? That is what, right? So I hope everyone has understood this concept of users, groups, right? So you're gonna create groups. You can create groups separately. You don't need to be creating what you need to create a group while creating the user. You can create a group separately and you can assign the permissions. That's what you do. You always create the group separately. One group for the developer. I can do it, right? Let me just do it. Just name the developer, and what I can do, I can use next. I can give them the permission, whatever permission I want. If I want someone to work only in my S3 bucket, right? S3 permissions, I can only give them the S3 permissions. I can just decide what level of access I want to provide for my developers. I can choose a list from this. I can name of the group is this, whatever name I can provide. I'm not going to create users group. Yeah, so you can create this group name, and you can whatever permissions you want for the developer to get, you can add it, and you can create a group. So I have created a group for the developer who would be working in the S3. So let me just name it S3 developers. S3 developers. These guys, I think I need to use. I cannot use hyphen. I can only use this. Only these options are allowed for me. So S3 developers. Let's see. I am going to give full S3 full access. Amazon S3 full access. I'm going to create this group. As simple as that. So I have created a group, right? This group, I can create a user. I can add those users to this group, and those users can only have the S3 level permissions. They can work on the S3. S3 is a service again, simple storage service. That's one of the storage services that we have in AWS. Why it is taking so much of time? Because
Roshan,
I know you. Yeah, yeah.
what
Please,
permissions, what kind of security, like how do we know?
means developers. It's your company. You have to decide, right? What you want developers to do. You need to define, right? That depends
Okay,
on the company to company.
okay, can we see those policies in here? Like what are the permissions? Based on the permissions, we can see what type of policies to that permission. Like you
You
showing
have
that
lot.
policy.
You have lot many permissions. You have lot many permissions. I just gave you only one permissions. You have a lot. Add permissions. You can do it. Attach policies. You have a list. You can use 730 policies. Okay. Whatever.
Okay,
So you need to decide what you want to get things, what level of access you want to give developers, right? So there are a lot of developers tool. If you look for the services that you have for the developer, you have a lot of developer tools. So again, so you need to first understand what you want to do. You need to define it first. What do you want developers to do? You want developers to code commit. You want developers to run the CI/CD pipeline. Give them permission. You want developers to create a database. Give them RDS database access. So those things. So you need to define what developers in your organization can do, right? Then accordingly, you can come here and select out of 730 permissions. You can give them permissions, and they're only so RDS full access. So if you give them, they're gonna have full RDS access, relational database access. They can create database, they can play with databases, right? Things like that, right?
okay.
You have lot.
Roshan,
Yeah,
sorry for interrupting. Roshan, I have
it's
created
okay.
a user. So if I forgot to download that CSV file, from where can I get that?
No, no, no. One time. That's one time option that you get it. They
Okay.
always create it. You can delete and create a new one. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a one-time activity. One time only it
Yeah,
will.
one time download, it will come. Yeah, if I go now, also it will not come up for me. You're right. If I go now to this Roshan, I will not get it.
Okay.
See, I don't get that thing. Yeah, but your the security credentials, you have those things. So these things are used when you log in as a AWS CLI. Okay, and then you have something called roles. I will talk about this role when I will talk about EC2. So what you can do, there is something called roles. Also, you can ask what is this role is all about. Role is for that you provide these roles to some AWS services like EC2 instance, like the VM that you create, that you assign some right to the VM also. That VM can do a lot more stuff. Not so this role is not at the user level. This role you provide to the AWS services itself, right? So you can create a role like S3 full access, and you can attach this role to the server. That server, if you log into that instance, then you can perform all those activities. So this role is mainly for the AWS services, and groups, users, and policies. These are for the user level permissions. Right? Like currently, this user as the administrator. I'm going to talk about this role once I talk about EC2 instance. Yeah. Right. So let me just understand where are we. Um, So this is how it looks permissions, right? I'm gonna show you how permissions looks. I created one group, right? I gave this S3 developer, I gave S3 full access. What does that mean? If I expand this, you will get one JSON file. This is what you get. Either this particular S3 full access is equivalent to this. This is what it means. You get a JSON file, the complete code, the access. You can also write your own. You have the option of creating your own permissions also. Don't think that you don't have option. You can very much have the option of creating your own policy. You can add, you can attach inline policy as well. You have the option that you can select from the list, right? Or you can create your own policy. So creating your own policy means writing that JSON file. Very simple. It's easy to write. So you just need to interpret it. How do we write it? So we always use version, okay, and then under the statement you put effect. What effect? So it's the standard format, okay. It is the standard format. For other permissions also I can show you. Let me just do one thing. Let me add permissions, attach policy. I'm going to show you for different other policies. So let me select one EC2 full access. Let's say EC2. What code you have? See, in EC2 you always have this standard version is something, some version, and under statement you keep on giving the permissions. I'm giving allow permission to EC2. Resources is star. For all the resources I'm giving allow. I'm also giving the load balancing. CloudWatch is the monitoring solution. I can monitor the EC2 instances. Auto scaling I can do. I can also create the IAM. So all sorts of permissions I am giving them. So when you attach this EC2 full access, you basically you provide them all these accesses, and this is how you write it. There is a JSON format. Very simple. So I just demonstrated that. So this is how it looks. So users or groups can be assigned JSON documents called policies. They're called policies. These policies define the permissions of the users, what all users can do, right? This is one of the very important question in the solution architect exam. They would just highlight few things and they would ask you what this user can do. Can this user can perform this activity or not? So something like that. In AWS, you apply the least privilege principle. Always remember this least privilege principle. You don't want users to give more access. Always you provide least privilege principle. Don't give more permission than a user needs. Currently, I'm allowing here the EC2 describe. The EC2 can read it. Anyone can read it. I'm also giving the elastic load balancing describe. and I'm also allowing list metric. CloudWatch is the monitoring solution. Whatever is service you create, uh, this is very important for the performance guys, performance, those who are in the performance testing and engineering thing, right? So we always refer to the CloudWatch. So you don't need any infrastructure tool, monitoring tool, if you're working in AWS cloud. Every cloud service provider has got one service which will give you the metrics of the infrastructure, and for AWS it is CloudWatch. So I'm going to list metrics, get metric statistics, and describe option as well. So I'm going to give this permission. I'm just going showing you how it looks, right? Uh, Very simple. Let me just keep it very interesting. I'm going to show you how do we, let me introduce one more service called EC2 service, very important. That's one of the popular services that, one of the first services which was launched when AWS was launched, right? I'm gonna click on EC2. Always type EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, and this is where you create the servers, right? And first service that we all learn in EC2, all right? But those things are also important. Setting up billing, MFA, those people do not ignore those things. So those are very important. What you do, you come to instances and then you launch instances. Okay, you want to create servers. Whenever you want to create servers, you come to EC2 instances, and there are a lot more things. Load balancing, we'll talk about. We'll talk about auto scaling. There are a lot many things here. Network and security, elastic block store, images. We'll talk about a lot more stuff in EC2. EC2 has a lot many things. I'm going to create one server right now. I'm going to demonstrate how it looks. I can just so in order to avoid the incur the cost, what you do, you always select the free tier. Okay, you have all the options here. So the first thing, when you create the EC2 instance, so what you do, you choose the first AMI, Amazon Machine Image. AMI is a term which we describe in normal words. We call it operating system. But instead of calling operating system, AWS calls it AMI, Amazon Machine Image. So AMI is normal stands for AMI, Amazon Machine Image. Okay. Okay. So what you do, you click on. You have a lot many options. Amazon Linux 2. You get Mac OS. You get um, Red Hat operating system. You get SUSE Linux. You get Ubuntu, servers, Microsoft like Windows, Debian. You have a lot more options. Okay, in select. So when you're provisioning a server, you get a buffet of all the operating system that you can use. But if you don't want to incur any cost, what you do, you always select this free tier only. So there are few. They have given a list which will applicable to the free tier. Applicable to 750 hours of compute time, right? 750 hours. If you want to understand what the free tier offers, you go to this link which is showing up, awsamazon.com free. You'll understand that in free tier you have 750 hours of compute time in 1 year. I'm gonna select Amazon Linux 2. Let's say I can use this, or I can use Red Hat, I can use Ubuntu, whatever. Let me select this guy here, Amazon Linux 2. 64-bit I selected. Second option that you get to decide now what should be your compute. You can use 1 vCPU, 1 GB RAM, or you can use 4 vCPU, 16 GB RAM, or you want 8 vCPU, 8 CPU, 32 GB RAM. You can use that. So you can use as max as 48 vCPU and 384 GB RAM. So a lot more options you have. Okay, lot more options. But we don't want to incur cost, and we want to learn things. We want to set free tier eligible. We're gonna select this. We're gonna configure the instance details. The third step. I'm going step by step. Choose AMI. Choose instance type. Configure instances. I'm gonna add the disk, because when you provision a server, you also add a disk. You're gonna add security groups, and then you review it and launch it. And then your servers are up and ready. I'm gonna configure the instance details. This is going to tell about the networking part. I'm currently in Mumbai region, but by default, every region has got a default VPC. VPC is what um, we call for the network, virtual private cloud. That's the networking part. We have a dedicated 5 sessions on that. Very important topic, VPC. We're going to talk about that in detail, but understand that I am just selecting the default VPC which is being offered for the Mumbai region. I am going to show you how to create a new VPC and new subnet. This Mumbai region has got 3 availability zones. Okay, 1A, 1B, 1C as well. I had deleted one guy. That's fine, but you will see 1C as well. Okay. I was just demonstrating one guy that you can delete the subnet also. You will see 1C also here. It has got 3 availability zones. So I'm going to select 1A. Okay. I'm going to click on next. So I'm just deploying my server. I'm going to provision my server in 1A availability zone. In this data center, I'm going to provision one server. One server with 1 vCPU, 1 GB RAM. That's all right. I'm going to add the storage now because I need to add a disk. I'm going to use 8 GB disk SSD. I'm going to use it. Just keep it simple for now. And I'm going to, I can name this guy. I can name this as, let's say, first Linux server. Any name I can give, it will display. Let me just first Linux server. I'm going to configure the security group. So security group is very important. Who all can access, what level of access you have, you want to provide in for your EC2 instance. Currently, you have, if you want to create a new security group, you can select that, or you can use the existing security group also. I will show you how to create a new security group. I'm going to create a new security group. Let me call it SG demo 1. I'm going to select this. I'm going to give the same name in the description. And what access, I can add a rule, but currently I'm showing that I want to SSH into it. I want to SSH into it. I want to connect to this guy. And we always provide port 22. SSH is allowed in port 22 only. And this means all the public IPs. I'm going to talk again. This is called CIDR. Classless interdomain routing. I'm going to talk about that in detail during the VPC chapter. But understand for now that this means all the public IPs can access it. I can restrict, I can allow only my public IP, my computer public IP to access this EC2 this instance. But this means all the public IPs, even you can access it. I'm going to review and launch. So I've given the AMI. I've given a security group, T2.micro, 1 vCPU, 1 GB RAM. I have given the storage, 8 GB RAM. That all looks good to me. Launch. I'm going to create a new key pair. I need a new key pair to log in. It's like a password. Okay, it's like a password I use when I log into the EC2 instance. Let me give a name. It's Jan is going on, so let me put Jan 2022. That I just named it this way, my key pair. I'm going to download this key pair. It's going to download the PEM file. I can use this PEM file while logging to my EC2 instance. If I use PuTTY, I need to convert that to PPK file, and I'm going to tell you. But this I need to please download this at the same time, and I can launch my instance. So I'm launching. Just understand this, that I'm somewhere else. I'm not in Mumbai region. I'm nowhere near to Mumbai region. I'm quite far from Mumbai. But they have given you this on-demand self-service console. Using that, I was able to create a server, my own server with my own specification remotely, with the operating system of my choice, with the disk of my requirement. That's the power they provide. This AWS, any cloud console provides. So this is up and running now. And you can see your instance has got a public IP. There are three types of IPs. Okay, one is called public IP, which is accessible over the internet. So this guy is accessible over the internet. Public IP is accessible over the internet. Private IP is for the at the VPC level within the network. It is access your EC2 instance is accessible using the private IP. Okay, so that's the public IP. I'm going to talk in detail about the public IP and elastic IP. That's a separate concept. I'm going to talk about it. But this instance is accessible over the internet, and that's the proof of it because you have got a public IP for it. I can log into this instance. They have given you the option also to connect. I can click on connect. I have selected this guy here, and I can click on connect, and I can use instance connect also to log into this guy. I logged in, I logged into this. I have logged into my EC2 instance. I can be a root user. I can update the operating system. I can do yum update. They are the basic Linux commands. Since it's based on the Red Hat, it works on yum update. If it's Debian flavor like Ubuntu, apt would work. I hope few of you knows that difference. Right? I can install one web server of my choice. I can install yum install httpd. I can install a web server. I'm installing a web server, guys. In the very I have just completed the web server installation is done. I can just check if my web server is up or not. Service is it's currently down. What I can do, I can start my web server. HTTPD is my web server. Okay, from Apache, it's a web server. I can start my web server. I can check the status. Its status is up and running now. I can log into the web server, and this web server runs on port 80. Be mindful of that. This web server by default runs on port 80. So if I can use this, my public IP, along with the port it is running on, this web server is accessible. Can anyone tell me why this page is not coming? Web server page is not coming. Can anyone knows in that? Does anyone have any idea about this?
80 port needs to be allowed.
Correct. So you know cloud better. Perfect. That's what I was expecting. Someone, at least one guy. Good. Yeah, because when I was giving the security group, remember, when I was giving the security group, I created my own security group. I created my this HG demo one. I created my security group, and I did not allow port 80. So my traffic cannot reach on port 80, though my web server is installed. So as now I'm going to give port 80. HTTP runs on port 80 by default. So I'm going to allow it HTTP port, which runs on port 80. And I'm going to provide everyone can access, even you guys can access this. This means all the public IPs, okay? So web server access. I'm going to save this rule and I'm going to refresh this guy. I'm just going to refresh this guy. This is my page. You guys please have a check on this. You guys can access this. Can anyone confirm that you guys can access this guy? This is my web server I installed in my EC2 instance. Can you guys access this guy? Access this URL? Yes, no?
Yes, Roshan, we are able to access.
Yes, you are able to access because I allowed everyone. I can change that as well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to edit the inbound rules, and I'm going to allow only myself. Only myself. I'm going to find the public IP of my laptop. What's my IP? This is how you find the public IP of your laptop. This is my public IP of my laptop. I'm going to give this guy, I'm going to specifically mention that only I'm going to access this. Now you guys try refreshing that page. Can you access? Yes, no? Sai, no. How about others?
It's still loading.
No, it will not come up. You should understand that it will not come up. Why? I changed the inbound rule. Only I can access this. That's the security cloud provides. You just see, I told you that this means all the public IPs in the world can access it. Now, what I have configured, only I can access this. I can go and refresh this. This will come like charm. Working for me. But it will not work for you because I disabled it from here. If I just change it now again, I'll make it open for all the public IP in the world. Check it now. Check now. Yes, no. Able to access?
Yes, Rafi.
Yes. That's the security group, and that we're going to discuss in subsequent sessions. Okay. We're going to talk about what are different ways we can log into this EC2 instance. I recommend you please have this downloaded with you, Putty. One of the, if you are working in Windows, if you have Windows laptop, just download this Putty, one of the very popular uh, SSH client. This Putty. This is this one, the one I'm showing. This is the Putty session I'm showing you. Download this. If you're working in Windows, you're gonna use Putty like this. This is the Putty. Download it. I'm gonna talk about that in the next session. How to use it. Download it from here. If you are in Mac, you can use your terminal to normally log in from your terminal itself. You can connect to this. You can go to the SSH client. You can give this uh, path. Okay. You try to open from the same place where you have the PAM file downloaded. I can also use from my laptop. From command prompt also it will work. Okay. I can show you from my Windows laptop. Uh, I need to find a place where I have downloaded the. Let me just make sure where I downloaded the Jan 22 batch PAM file. Let me just create a file. I'm gonna create a folder. Jan batch. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm gonna share that page. I'm creating a just folder. I'm putting that file. I'm gonna show you. Okay. So this is the place I have my downloads. This is the place I have this. So what I can do, I can open the command prompt in the same window. I opened it. I can just give that client this URL, and I will be able to from my CMD. I don't need a SSH client. Okay, I can use it directly. I can connect it from my command prompt also. Yes, I can use it. I can show you that this is the same server I'm connecting to. HTTPD status. I can show you that it will be running because you're connected to the same server, right? So if you're in Mac, you can use your terminal. From Windows, if you don't want to download anything, you can use your command prompt. If you want a SSH client like Putty, you can download Putty. There are so many options you can use it. I'm going to also tell you if I provision a Windows instance, you can use your Windows MSTSE to log into your Windows server as well. I'm going to talk about that. So that will be all, guys. That will be all today. And when you stop working, make sure that you terminate your EC2 instance. That's how you save cost. Always do that. Whenever you are done working, you are in cloud, just a matter of few minutes, you will get the server. Never hesitate in deleting the server, terminating the server, you can create it. It's just a matter of few minutes. This is how you're gonna save things. I'm gonna keep on telling you the ways, different ways. Yeah, that's all about today, guys. You have any questions, Evan?
Roshan, regarding that, accessing through the command prompt, we should do it from the same folders where the PEM is there.
Correct. Because see, you are giving this. I deleted now. I cannot show you, but I'm gonna show you that this is what command I gave you, right? This is the command I executed, and they're making use of this. If you're not in the same folder, then you need to please provide the right location at least.
Okay.
If you're not in the same location, so please provide the right location. Yeah. Then also you can do it.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, guys. So thank you very much. If you have any more questions, no more questions, you can disconnect. You can enjoy. All good?
Roshan, in case if this Jan 2020 batch.pem file, which I place it in my Windows laptop in D drive, and if my putty is installed in C drive,
that's
how
fine.
can I educate
totally
putty?
Nothing. Okay,
How
putty.
can I
I'm gonna tell
educate my
you. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you how to configure putty. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you. Very simple thing.
Right.
It's not a big thing. I'm gonna show you now. Since you have asked, I can show you. In putty, you need to give the public IP here. Give port here, and make sure you give some timeout here 90. And you need to come to this SSH. Come to auth. You give the location here of your PEM file. Oh, not PEM file. You cannot PEM file. You need to convert PEM file to PPK file. I'm gonna tell you in the next session. Okay. If you're using putty, you cannot use PEM file. You have to convert that to PPK file, and you get a generator also. When you download that, you get putty gen, okay, along with the putty, and you use this to convert PEM file to PPK file, and that's the location you provide while setting up putty session. I'm going to tell you tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
In detail. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Any more questions, guys? Okay. I think we are all good. Thank you very much. Talk to you tomorrow.